It was one of those still Florida mornings when her name first crossed my path, Tasha Fields. To the outside world, she looked like a portrait of grace, a mother who adored her children, a partner devoted to love, someone just trying to build a family and a future. But behind that warm smile lived a secret so sinister, it would take years to peel back its layers. When I started digging into her story, I thought I'd find the usual heartbreaks and regrets. What I uncovered instead was a trail of deception, new names, vanished lovers, and a string of broken lives left in her wake. Everywhere Tasha went, chaos followed. And in her wake, people were left wondering how someone so tender could be so terrifying. She met Dwayne Barrentine, a single father doing his best to hold his world together. To him, Tasha was a blessing. She was thoughtful, affectionate, and spoke about the future like it was already written. She wrote him letters that read like promises from another lifetime. "I'll love you forever," she told him. "We'll raise our babies and grow old side by side." And for a while, Dwayne believed her because she made him feel seen, like his heart had finally found a home. But love built on lies always comes undone. It began quietly. Letters arrived with strange last names: Fields, Morton, Kemp, Hesse. Dwayne brushed it off at first, convincing himself it was nothing. But curiosity soon turned into suspicion. One night he finally asked the question that had been haunting him. "How many times have you been married, Tasha?" She wept. Said she'd been married 5 times, 5. She told him those marriages had just been bad luck, that she was always the one who got hurt. But to anyone paying attention, that wasn't bad luck, it was a pattern. 5 men. 5 stories that all ended the same way. As Dwayne started connecting the dots, the truth grew darker. She had lied about everything: her education, her family, even her past. Her stories were so vivid, so detailed, you almost wanted to believe them. She claimed her grandfather was a federal judge, that one of her exes had blinded him in a freak accident. None of it was true. Tasha was an artist of illusion. She built entire worlds out of words and dragged people into them until they couldn't tell what was real anymore. And then came the rumor that changed everything. An ex-boyfriend warned Dwayne, voice trembling. She was involved in a murder. At first it sounded like bitter gossip. But when Dwayne began looking deeper, he uncovered something horrifying. Tasha's ex-husband, Mitch Kemp, had gone missing in the middle of a bitter custody fight over their daughter. No trace. Just gone. And Tasha acted as though he'd never existed. That's when Dwayne walked away and went to the police. By 2008, investigators had connected the pieces. Mitch's disappearance wasn't random, it was orchestrated. And at the center of it all was the same woman who once wrote, "I love you forever." Detectives discovered that Tasha had manipulated her next husband, Greg Morton, into carrying out the unthinkable. She told him Mitch had raped her, cried as she spun the lie, and played the role of a shattered survivor. She convinced Greg that revenge was love, and he believed her. A man so blinded by devotion he traded his freedom for her falsehoods. Later, Greg told police, "If my wife had said she'd been assaulted, I would have done the same thing again." That's how powerful her spell was. Tasha didn't need a weapon. She used people. According to Greg's confession, Tasha lured Mitch to their property late one night. When he arrived, Greg stepped from the shadows. 5 gunshots. As Mitch collapsed, bleeding, he looked up at Tasha, his ex-wife, the mother of his child. Greg said she stared down at him, emotionless, then nudged his hand aside and whispered, "Finish it." Even after all these years, that line still echoes in my head. When the truth finally caught up with her, Tasha tried one last performance, twisting her confession, shifting the blame, insisting she was the real victim. Because narcissists never see themselves as monsters. They bend the story until they believe their own lies. Greg Morton took a plea deal, 19 years for second-degree murder. He testified against her. In 2010, Tasha Fields was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. When I look at her mugshot, it isn't anger I feel. It's something colder. That calm, hollow stare of someone who doesn't think they've done anything wrong. And maybe that's the most chilling truth of all. Narcissists don't just destroy people. They destroy reality. They make love feel like loyalty, and loyalty feel like surrender. And by the time you realize the difference, it's already too late. I've investigated killers driven by rage, by jealousy, by desperation. But people like Tasha, they kill because they can. Not for love, not for passion, for control. For power. For the satisfaction of watching others break while they stay perfectly composed. When I close the file on her case, I think about Dwayne, how narrowly he escaped her web. And I think about Mitch Kemp, the man who never got to see his daughter grow up. Tasha Fields didn't just end a life. She murdered trust. She shattered the belief that love is safe. And after all these years, one truth remains. The most dangerous killers aren't hiding in the dark. They're smiling right at you in the daylight, whispering softly, "I love you,"